back with Bob Layton, our guest here today at Metro After Hours. And we went through a bit of your comic history, but I'd be remiss if I also didn't mention future comics with such characters as Freemind, Death Mask, and many, many others. Now, we were talking earlier about a possibility of them reappearing sometime soon. The Future Comics came around in 2001, and it came about when you and other creators, well, basically, if you could go ahead and explain.
Well, no, basically it was a brainchild of Dick Giordano, David Michelini, and myself. But, in that particular time where the industry, Marvel was in bankruptcy and all this kind of stuff, we were trying to figure out, we didn't really want to work for mainstream comics anymore. But the system was set up so independent comics where it was almost impossible to be profitable because Diamond would take 60% of your cover price immediately.
Yeah.
And so your profit margins were so low, and it's like you're in a heavily saturated market as it was. And then Dickie got the idea. I give him credit for that. Basically he said, what we need to do is bypass Diamond. We need to figure out a way to get past the distribution system because that's what's killing independent publishing. So we basically figured this newfangled internet thingy, that series of tubes out there, we could like push our comics through that, and we could pretty much self-distribute. So that was the game plan, and so we launched the Future Comics, like I said, with Freemind, Metallics, Death Mask, and eventually Peacekeeper was going to come along, but that's another story. But and we did really well. I mean, out of the gate, we had about 50% of comic shops in America subscribing. We had the retailer program, and were you a member back then?
You'd have to check with Gail because I was strictly the event promotions guy. See how I just.
I have to ask Gail about that. Okay. But as it turns out, the one flaw in our and I guess it was the trouble, we were a little ahead of our time. Because it turns out that only 50% of comic shops in America were hooked up to the internet. I had banked on geeks being geeky, and they... Were you part of the Future Comics Retailer Club?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Hello.
That's Gail.
Well, she's one of the reasons. Were you hooked up to... Was the store hooked up to the internet in 2002?
Barely.
Barely, okay.
Yeah.
Then you have no excuse whatsoever.
I'm sorry.
All right. So
it was terrible.
But as it turns out, the one flaw in our plan was that apparently, although we were banking everybody being geeky, they were also cheap. As a result, they did not wire their stores to the internet. Therefore, they could not order our books, and that pretty much limited what we could do in terms of distribution. Everybody tells me if we had launched it today, it would have been a rousing success.
Well, you were just ahead of your time.
There's me and Preston Tucker, I guess, huh?
And plus, Gail helped kill it, so there you go.
There
Thanks
you go.
a lot, Gail.
You're looking at one of the people responsible for killing my company, yes. But
Which
no, it wasn't
company?
Future Comics.
Oh no! Are you kidding me? I was getting Future Comics.
Okay, that she's been exonerated. All right, publicly.
Come on.
Okay, I call off the lynching. All right.
God.
All right. It's like, but so it was a business decision basically to cease publication at that point because it was just like there was no way we were going to be able to fulfill our business model.
Right.
So that's when I got the idea that I was going to bring them out to Hollywood. I was going to do it kind of reverse engineering, and basically, so there was for a long time there was a deal, and it works with Freemind. It was going to be a major motion picture.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, David Nutter was going to be who's like the pilot king, had signed on to be the director. We had Dante Harper, who was like an A-list writer who had just finished David Fincher's latest film. So we had it took like 6 years to get all this in place, and then Avatar comes out, and it's totally knocks off the premise, and it just kind of killed the project, because it's putting guy's mind into another artificial body and blah 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 blah, and it's like so, yeah, it's like hard to compete with Cameron. Even though we came up with it way before he did. But,
on the plus side, though, you do have Shambles.
Shambler.
Shambler.
Well, that's
Shambler coming out.
Shambles. I like Shambles. That's his dog.
Shambles is what happened to Future Comics. Thanks to people
dog.
like Gail back here, ladies and gentlemen.
Actually, Gail's been exonerated.
No, I'm kidding.
But
I'm just kidding.
Right now there is a feature film in the works with Death Mask.
Yeah.
And like I said, so. What happened was part of coming out here and me starting to work in Hollywood was that Michelini and I wanted to because let's face it, we've done about everything we could ever do in comic
Right.
books. I've done everything but put staples in the damn books, you know. So it was kind of like my next step is to kind of get him to move, you know,
Yeah.
start, you know, and so I moved out here about a year ago and started using the Iron Man movies as impetus because it opened a lot of doors for me here. So I've been here basically creating new properties for film and television. Our first project is Shambler, which is kind of a tongue-in-cheek horror comedy, much in the vein of like Zombieland, about a scientist who winds up getting resurrected the hard way, and it takes place on the mean streets of Los Angeles, and he kind of turns into like an urban legend locally. It's a monster hero, but a lot of fun. The script, David McLean and I wrote a very detailed treatment, and then the producers brought in this guy Steve Barr, who wrote a hilarious script. I mean, when you got a mummy going down Hollywood Boulevard on a Segway, you just can't beat that. That's a trailer moment, guys. You know. Plus, this is the movie that'll make tampons like part of the lexicon of superheroes. Trust me. You know. Yeah, you know how Batman has his utility belt? Well, he has tampons, and we'll explain it later. But
send those letters too.
Good to stanch bleeding.
Yeah, it's like you're close, But anyway, like I said, no, the movie it's hilarious and it's touching, and there's some exciting stuff. So we are funding it ourselves. You know, again, we're kind of avoiding the whole studio thing because I'd like to continue to own what I create. So so we're doing that. Although, I mean, there's small screen stuff. Like I said, the Colony, my webcomic, we're developing that and going out this month, as a matter of fact, pitching as a television series.
All right.
So we have some interested parties in that as well. So I got a lot of various things in the works.
You have a whole lot of media projects going on.
I just wrote actually just wrote my first film for Edward James Olmos's production company. His son Michael, they run it out of ABC Disney there. So it's called Encounter in Amalthea. It's a kind of a psycho thriller set in space.
Wow.
You know, but it kind of deglamorizes the whole notion of space travel, you know, in a way. Because I was talking about being a science freak, you know, so I tried to really portray space travel realistically in this movie, which is not very glamorous. Because I get tired of people playing basketball on spaceships and stuff. You know what I mean? So, but it's an interesting movie just about our growth as a culture and how far we've come or not come. And so it's not the kind of fare that from the guy that does Hercules that people expect, but it was inside of me, so I wanted to get it out.
Well, it just seems like you have so many stories to tell, Bob, and all of them interesting, I'm telling you.
Well, I got a trilogy of romantic comedies I want to do eventually about dating Jewish women. But I have to make some more like sci-fi
Jewish
movies.
women in iron suits too.
I have to make some. Well, because I was a goy moved to New York City from the Midwest. You know, it's like. And so it's like my first experiences with dating Jewish women in New York was like enough to fill volumes, you know. So eventually, after I get done making all the sci-fi movies and superhero movies and stuff, I'll probably make some small romantic comedies about dating Jewish women. Yeah, that's what I'm living for.
Well, let me tell you, as a guy who dated
I love Jewish women, by the way.
As a guy who dated a Jewish woman once, I can tell you, they're practically wearing iron suits. If you know what I'm saying, people. Anyway,
I do not deal with cliches, man.
Wow, what a way to wrap this one up! Wow.
Yeah, how about
Please
that?
address your letters to John Barry.
Yeah, not to Bob Layton, because I love Jewish women.
Right.
I love to. I swear to God, I do. But
By the way, we should mention too that David McLean and I have 2 new Iron Man projects for next year.
There you go.
Nice.
We're doing a one-shot What if Tony Stark became Dr. Doom?
Oh.
And we're doing Iron Man Forever, which will be our version of what we would have done Armor Wars 2, which we had planned to do.
And you just saved the end of this interview from the whole Jewish girl
Thank God
thing.
for Bob Layton.
So thank you, Bob. Thank God for Bob Layton, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, John.
That's the end of our interview, and we'll catch you next time on Metro After Hours if they haven't changed the host.
If he hasn't been lynched by Jewish women.
Right.
I'll see you later. Bye.